Hey guys, has a tiny project on your car ever led to a major overhaul? That happened to me. Hang around, I'll tell you all about it. All right, so for some of you who know me, you know that I hit a rock on the Los Angeles crest in LA. My fuel tank was old, the original fuel tank. Rust must have got introduced into the fuel pump somehow, clogged it all up. The car got stranded out there. I wrongly diagnosed it as an ignition problem. A professional shop thought it was ignition as well. We replaced all the ignition basically. My buddy Jack helped me out, full day Saturday. We couldn't get the car going, so it was towed back to Vegas. And once it was back here, I went on an odyssey to do some things that I've been wanting to do. First and foremost, the 75 has the fuel pump mounted in the back, a very inconvenient and bad place for the fuel pump to be due to vapor lock. You get a lot of heat coming off the headers there, creates vapor lock, you've got problems. So I was like, let's take this opportunity to move the fuel pump up to the front. The problem is there is no wiring harness to accommodate a fuel pump on a 75. So I had to build a wiring harness that included a fuse, a relay, and actual wires to go down to the pump and route it all back behind there. This is a brand new fuel tank. The one they sent me originally was damaged. That was a whole ordeal. I mean, shipping a tank is a giant box. Even this one was a little damaged, but I was like, you know what, it's going in. I'm tired of waiting. I'll probably pull it and refinish it at some point, but I think it's good for a couple of years as is. Now, since I was removing the fuel pump from the back, I thought, well, let me take this opportunity to go ahead and do something I've always wanted to do to the front, which is refresh the bushings. Pretty basic. I've never done that since I've owned the car. It had the original 1975 rubber bushings and the control arms. Definitely time to refresh those. So I went on a completely nuts overhaul of the front end. Let's take a look at that. So the front end mods include powder coated control arms, Elephant Racing polybronze bushings. I upgraded to the aluminum cross member, used to have a steel one. I had turbo tie rods, that was the one thing I upgraded. Also got Elephant RSR struts, so I upgraded from a 3-inch caliper spacing to a 3.5 inch, which would allow me to run these cool early aluminum S calipers. I got new rotors, vented and cross-drilled rotors. These are drop spindles, or raised spindles actually. So they're raised 12 millimeters, not a whole lot, but it's enough to take out some of the bump steer on really low cars. Also got this kind of nifty Rin line skid plate used on Pelican parts, which was nice. It was in brand new condition and it fits really well. So that was a nice upgrade. I also had these titanium studs that I wanted to install on this car. Originally they were going to be for my wide body project, but I decided to go ahead and put them on this car because my wide body project has center locks on it now. So I already had these hubs with these 72 millimeter bullnose titanium studs, and that presented an issue. Once I got the front end together, I was like, well, obviously I need the studs on the back. Well, I already had these 77 control arms blasted with brand new bearings and new bushings that was, again, gonna go on my 77 project, but I no longer was gonna use these studs. So I thought, let me pull the banana arms off and I'll go ahead and put the new ones on here that already have all the refreshed bushings on, along with the proper studs to match the front. So that escalated the rear suspension. And then I had Bill Stein HDs in the back before, but since I had the RSR struts in the front, I was like, let me go to the sport shocks in the rear. Right, another thing that escalated was I bought a 912, a 66 912 short wheelbase car that I was gonna make into a 911R clone. I had the full body work for it. And at that point I already had a couple projects and I thought, you know what? This car needs a decade of someone's life to build. I decided to sell that project. I had already commissioned Bill Rader Motorsports here in Las Vegas to build the transmission. They built me a 915 with a reinforced side plate, LSD, just a really nice stout early 74 915, which coincidentally would bolt right into this car. Now it's not the numbers matching one, but I can run that trans temporarily in here, and then I can maybe sell it later as I rebuild the numbers matching trans when I go to actually rebuild the motor as well. Now, all that sounds pretty straightforward, but what ends up happening is you run into just little problems here and there. Like, for example, with the aluminum calipers, I bought them secondhand. They were rebuilt according to the seller, and they were, I could tell. But one had a bad seal and it was the wrong seal, so I had to replace that. But it's just stuff like that that really slows you down. The whole fuel system, I built it from scratch. All new lines in the front, all new lines in the back, filters, new fuel pump up front, all the different adapters going from the stock 12 millimeter lines down to the 10 to the new gas tank. There was a lot of work involved there. It's taken me weeks to get to this point. I'm getting pretty close now though. Appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you next time.